Chapter 14, Part 2. Ben read from the opposite page. The rain dragon is a type of Chinese horned dragon. Horned dragons are the most respected of all eastern dragons. The rain dragon is a female. Though wingless, she uses magic to fly. More than one cannot exist at the same time. Her sole purpose is to make rain. She's a girl, and she makes rain, Pearl said. Then that explains why the ground is parched. She can't make rain if she's dying. Listen to this, Ben said, continuing to read. While Chinese horned dragons vary in size, the rain dragon is vast and stretches for exactly 2 miles from the tip of her tail to the tip of her snout. 2 miles? Pearl scrambled to her feet. If she's that big, it should be easy to find her. We just need to get a better view. Maybe we can climb to the top of that ridge. Pearl grabbed the satchel and began to march across the cracked ground, her ponytail bouncing. When Ben and Metalmouth caught up, she was standing at the end of the ridge. I can't get a good grip, she told them with a groan. These leprechaun shoes are too slippery. Will you give me a boost? Metalmouth cupped his front paws together. Pearl stepped inside, and he lifted her as high as he could. She scrambled up the last few feet. What do you see? Ben asked. Standing on tiptoe, Pearl reported her findings. Well, this is definitely where the ridge begins, but it goes on and on and on as far as I can tell. I don't see anything else. What terrible news. How are they supposed to help the rain dragon if they couldn't find her? Frustration took hold of Ben's thoughts. What would happen if they failed and the dragon died? Would there never be rain in the imaginary world? Ben leaned against the ridge. It moved. The ridge moved. Having lived in Los Angeles all his life, Ben knew what earthquakes felt like. This hadn't been an earthquake. He pressed his hand against the ridge. It twitched. I think I found our dragon, Ben said with a smile. Pearl slid back down to the ground, landing beside Ben. Upon closer inspection, they discovered that what had looked like a mound of dirt was actually the rain dragon's tail. But she's supposed to be green, Pearl said. I wonder if she changed colors because she's sick. That's a reasonable guess, Ben thought. Now we know we're not too late. She's still alive. Well, we're standing at the wrong end, Pearl said. We'll have to walk 2 miles to reach her head. But Ben had a better idea. Hey, Metalmouth, can we ride on your back? He was fairly confident he could hang on. After all, he'd taken riding lessons at his parents' country club. You got a saddle? Metalmouth asked. Pearl and Ben shook their heads. Then no can do. My scales will stab right through your clothes if you try to sit on me. So they walked, and walked, and walked. To keep Metalmouth from complaining about being bored, Pearl threw the tennis ball. To keep Pearl from getting bored, Ben and Pearl took turns carrying the black satchel. Without a cloud to hinder it, the sun beat down. The heat didn't seem to bother Metalmouth, who pounced on the ball like an overgrown puppy. But sweat droplets gathered along Ben's collarbone. He felt sticky all over. They followed the rain dragon's tail as it thickened, moving toward her hind legs. Cracks in the ground spread in all directions. Some were so wide, Ben and Pearl had to jump over them. A few were so deep, Ben couldn't see the bottom. They'd stop every once in a while and touch the rain dragon. Ben was checking to make sure she was still alive. Pearl was letting her know that help was on the way. How much longer do you think we have to walk? Pearl asked. Ben had no idea. He didn't do much walking back in Los Angeles. He knew that Olympic athletes could run a mile in under 4 minutes. He tried to come up with a formula, but it was too hot to do math. An hour, he guessed. Pearl ran a few steps, then leaped over the widest crack yet. Ben stopped at the edge and looked down. If he fell inside, how would he get out? Metalmouth had easily made the crossing and was chasing after the ball. Just get a running start, Pearl said from the other side. She smiled with encouragement. You can do it. Ben took a deep breath. He didn't want Pearl to think he was scared, so he pushed all his cautious thoughts aside and started to run. But he didn't get quite enough power behind the leap, and his foot slipped. Ah! He cried, realizing he wasn't going to make it. The gap loomed, dark and endless as a black hole. He clawed at the air, desperate for something to stop his fall. Pearl's arm shot out and grabbed the collar of Ben's lab coat. She yanked with all her might. They both tumbled to the ground. While Pearl landed on her backside, Ben landed in a faceplant. You okay? She asked. That was close. Too close. Way too close. Ben got to his knees. His legs felt wobbly. He spat out some dirt. Thanks, he said. Then he looked into Pearl's green eyes. You saved my life. You think so? She pushed a few stray hairs from her eyes. It was no big deal. I mean, you do the same for me. No big deal. Ben swallowed hard. Without Pearl, he'd be lying at the bottom of that crevice. Of course I'd do the same for you. There was an awkward moment of silence as they looked at each other. Ben didn't know what else to say, but he did know that he'd never forget what had happened. As Pearl wiped dirt off her knees, Ben got to his feet. Something made a clinking sound. The vial of fairy dust had tumbled from his pocket. Before he could grab it, the vial rolled toward the crevice and disappeared over the edge.